Good morning from Luxor, Egypt. This morning we woke up at 4 o'clock a.m. It is now 5:15 and we are about to head out on a hot air balloon ride.
Takes a team to run one of these hot air balloons. And there they go to catch another one. So what I'm most impressed by from that entire experience is the coordination of all of the workers, from the people that pick you up to the pilot of the hot air balloon, because they literally are just trying to flag you down. They drive towards the direction of where the hot air balloon is going. And we ended up in the desert today, but other days you'll end up, I guess, on the other side of the river possibly. You never really know what direction the wind will take you, which is really fun. But we're now heading back to the bus to head back to our Airbnb.
We are now back at our Airbnb, and I actually didn't get to talk to you all during our experience because it went by in the blink of an eye, and before I knew it we were landing and I hadn't gotten my words in. So back at the beginning of 2021, we both got to choose a bucket list experience that we wanted to take on, and mine was to ride a hot air balloon. The thing that we want to do together is go hot air ballooning. Now that it's been over a year later, we finally got to experience it, and honestly it was just as wonderful as I expected it to be. It was a very calm glide across the land, and honestly it looked exactly like what I always see when I'm editing the drone footage. And so I felt like a little drone floating across the sky and just looking down on the valley of Luxor, and it was absolutely stunning. Even though it was a little bit foggy, the sun ended up rising and we saw the perfect little sphere out in the distance, and it was so beautiful. So I do hope we have more hot air balloon experiences in the future, but now we're going to head upstairs and get some breakfast with our accommodation. Abdul is the housekeeper here. He sleeps out in the garden, and he is going to be making us our breakfast. And he's already made us some really great food, so I can't wait to see what we're having today.
Oh, wow.
Oh my goodness, wow.
Wow.
I thought we were gonna get like a pancake and an egg, but we have so many amazing items here. Here's some whisking. I think we're also getting egg. So this is the tamea, which we had in our food tour video, but it was in that sandwich form. So now we get to eat just the tamea itself.
Breakfast was wonderful, but I think for the rest of the day we're just gonna be working. So we will catch you guys tomorrow as we explore Luxor a little bit more.
Good morning. Today we are doing a tour of some of the most famous sites here in Luxor. And we're gonna start it off by heading on a boat to go back over to East Bank.
Just made it to the Karnak Temples. The way that it works is the outside of the temple is the newer construction, and it gets older as you move inside. We can see that this is their version of scaffolding. So these mud bricks are how they were able to build up the wall that you see behind me. So what they would do is they start low, they keep adding layers of this mud brick, and they slowly add stone by going step by step all the way up. And the only reason that the scaffolding is still here is because the king died while they were still constructing the temple. Behind me is an obelisk, and in case you did not know, Egyptian obelisks are made from one piece of stone. And learning that and seeing it in person is totally different, because it travels all the way from the city of Aswan, which is down south a few hours on the Nile, and it took 7 months to get here, and then they somehow are able to prop it up, and it's still here thousands of years later.
We were just in the temple of Hatshepsut, and if you look up, you can actually see this brilliant blue because the paint is still on the ceiling. And of course, you've got the stars because they want to mimic the night sky. But what was also really cool was you could see 2 layers of ceiling, and that is because they wanted to keep that area very cool, and I could definitely feel a drastic change in temperature when I walked in.
Another thing that absolutely blew me away is that they lined up their temple with the tomb that is over on the west bank of the river. Yep. So if you look down this alleyway, you can look all the way over at the mountains that are on the west bank, and it's literally lined up perfectly with where they're buried because they believe in how your soul travels from the afterlife, from your tomb, back over to this temple on the east bank. We've now made it to Luxor Temple, and what's really cool is that there's this entire avenue that was completely buried over, and it's all lined with these sphinxes, and it would connect Karnak Temple all the way 3 kilometers away, Luxor Temple. So although we took a car, you could take a horse or your legs from that temple all the way here. I want one of these at our house, lining our entranceway.
With my face on it?
Sure, I guess.
That would be so cute.
With a goatee. So behind me is a mosque that was actually built right on top of the ruins 800 years ago, and they actually had no idea that the ruins were underneath. So that's why it's perched so much higher than everything else around me, is because they kept on discovering more and more as they were digging up all of the dirt.
What's so cool about ancient Egypt is they just keep finding things, and they're just endless things that can still be discovered here.
We've walked past the 14 gigantic pillars that lead to this open air court area where they would have festivals and parties, and it did not have a covered roof, so I can just imagine the night sky was super bright up above, and it would be a great place to throw a party, honestly.
We've just made it to a section of the temple that has been reconstructed by the Romans, and it is very obvious that they were here and that they did some work.
Right in front of us, we can see that they actually shot some arrows at the artwork. There's indentions all over the wall.
Right.
They flipped this block, so there's a carving of a foot that's upside down.
Yeah, they even carved into the rock so that they can tie up their horses, and that is because this used to be a camp for soldiers.
Yeah.
They really destructed a lot of the ancient Egyptian artworks, which is really sad, but
I mean, it's also part of history as well, which is kind of cool in its own way. But now we're about to enter where they kind of reconstructed the Egyptian area into a church.
Behind me looks to be ancient Egyptian artwork, but it is actually not. It was artwork commissioned by Alexander the Great, and you can tell because his name is in the cartouche, and you can kind of tell that it isn't ancient Egyptian because of the craftsmanship. There isn't any paint that's left on there. The limbs aren't very equal, whereas with the Egyptian one, it's pretty much nearly perfect, I would say.
So we are now leaving the East Bank and heading towards the West Bank. So we're about to head into our first tomb here in Valley of the Kings. I'm so excited about it. We just went into our first tomb, and the first thing that we're noticing that's really funny is from the outside you would never expect what you see on the inside.
It's just dust, sand, and rock out here, and then when you go inside, it's just a glorious, colorful tomb, and it is a work of art, honestly.
Yeah. But we're now gonna head towards our second tomb, which we have heard has over 100 steps in it, but our guide said that it's absolutely amazing, and for her to say that must mean that's gonna be really cool.
We are walking down a very, very long ramp, and I think we'll be going pretty far underground.
This doesn't feel real. Like, it feels like we're in Disney or something.
And the lighting they've installed here just makes it really feel like a museum.
Yeah. We're now entering our third and final tomb of the day. The sun is setting on the hills, and it's looking really beautiful outside.
We are officially saying goodbye to the Luxor ruins, and we're heading back to our Airbnb. We'll catch you guys when we get there. We've made it back to our Airbnb, and our guide today was the kindest, sweetest, smartest lady in the entire world. The whole time she was just telling us to call her our older sister, and it really did feel like we were traveling around Luxor with family.
Something about Egypt that we found is that the guides here, they aren't just like guides that know a few fun facts. They are Egyptologists. They have studied this in school for several years. Like our guide today, she has her master's in Egyptology. She's going on to get her doctor's here. And honestly, she is an absolute legend. As we were walking around, they're all like, you have the best guide in Egypt, like #1 guide. And she was like, oh, waving them off. But she like knows everyone, giving hugs to everyone.
Yeah.
I felt like we were being shown around by VIP for sure.
With that, we're going to end this video here and just go shower and rest up after a very long day of exploring.
If you would like to follow along on our journey as we explore more of southern Egypt, along with visiting 50 countries around the world, definitely hit subscribe. And with that, we'll see you guys next time.
Bye!